Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and today I am going to talk about the book named Secret Garden. The author of the book is Frances Hodgson Burnett. The genre of the book is mystery. The setting of the book is lonely Greystone House. The summary of this book is there's the girl named Mary Reynolds, and she lost her family with coronavirus, and she's the survivor of the virus, and she was sent into India, and there was little garden that is locked. And soon she found the hidden key, and she opened the garden, and she made a friend with Deacon, and she made garden much prettier. And I'll not spoil the end. I will recommend this book to Lily because she likes mystery. And I will least recommend this book to Haryang because she doesn't like long book and she doesn't like mystery book. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Dan and I'm going to introduce the book, The Secret Garden. The author of this book is Frances Burnett, and the genre of this book is coming of age and children's classic. The setting of this book is 20th century in India, then England. In this book, Mary Lennox moves to England by the cholera virus. Then she finds more happiness there by Marthia, the young servant, by talking to her every day and feels guilt if she does not talk to her. And then she also meets the red beast, the breed of the bird, who is really very friendly and then tries to find the key of the shuttered garden by her uncle, who's the owner of the house that she is living right now, by her wife getting dead. And that's why the garden is shut. And then, so those two is trying to find the key, and I'm not going to spell the ending. And I think Brandon will most like this book because he likes to do things a lot. And this book is about finding the key and trying to explore in the garden that is shut. So I think he'll most like it. And then I think Paul will least like this book. Actually, I think Haryong will least like this book because she doesn't like long stories. And in the first few chapters, it's not about the main story. So I don't think she'll most like it. Yes, thank you.
Hello, my name is Caleb, and today I'm going to be representing about the book Graveyard Book for my essential reading. And the author is Neil Gaiman, which you might have heard of him from Coraline, which is really famous book worldwide. And the genre is fantasy or even mystery, or even the last choice is Coming of the Ages. And the setting's in an old England graveyard. And then the main character is someone called Nobody Owens, shortened for Bod in this book, and then his parents got all killed by the man Jack. But luckily, he escaped, and he's not murdered. And he went to a graveyard after wandering around, and then a guardian named Silas. He's not a ghost or a human. He's a mystical creature. He decided to guard him, or actually adopt him. And later on, Bob learns how to do dream walking or even fading away so that humans can't see him. And so he is really cool. And then I won't spoil the end, but this is a question for you. What will happen after Bob gets moonwalk or dream walk or fading? Right? I think Brandon would most enjoy the book because I think he likes spooky books or really funny. And I think Paul will least enjoy the book because he's pretty logical and he likes historical fictions or like not fantasies. And this book is really spooky. And I asked him this morning if you write like spooky books or like some books close to horror, and he said no. And he shook his head like this. So I'm pretty sure he hates that book, spookiness. And thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm going to represent my essential reading book, My Side of the Mountain. The author is Jean Grecken George. This book is about talking about the nature, and the genre is fantasy. The most part I love this book, is the boy named Sam went out of the New York and lived his own life in the mountain. And the best word I remember in this book is me and my side of the mountain. It kind of feels like mountain is on my side, so I can do anything. And I will represent this book to Jacob. Jacob will like it because it's a fantasy, and he will love the image and on the book. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ivan, and my essential reading book is The Secret Garden. The author of the book is Frances Hodgson Burnett, and the genre is mystery, and setting is England, and it's garden, and the main characters are Mary, Colin, and Dickens. The summary is Mary came to Mary's parents died and came to alone to the England, and she found a secret garden, and she made friends, and Mary helped a sick boy Colin, and Colin can't move much, so Mary tries to help, but Mary wanted to show the guns to Colin, but Colin didn't want that, and they had a fight. But Colin accepted, and he met the guns, and the end I will not tell you. And I recommend this book to Jacob because he likes mysteries and he likes reading books. and I would not recommend to Taegyun because he doesn't like English grammars and reading books. Thank you for listening.
My book title is Book Thief, and my favorite character is Rizzo because she is very brave because she steal the book from the Hitler house, and like the people will never think about stealing books from Hitler's house, but she just did was without scaring. And also this book this genre is I think is this because Rizzo's mom and new mom knew that Rudy and his brother died from the story, and she lose almost all of his family. That means she is very brave because she didn't lost her. Can I do it again? She lost. Okay. Do it again.
You can just keep going.
The book title is Book Thief, and
Wait, you're starting over?
yeah.
My name is Jason, and today I'm going to talk about a book called I Am Malala, and the author of this book is Malala. The genre of this book is realistic because it shows a real life of a girl who wants her freedom. Second, the setting of this book is on 2012 at Pakistan, where Malala was born. A summary of this book is Malala protested for peace to Taliban, and she goes to many consequences and finally got what she wants. Uh, I think Kevin is like this book because he likes reading book and he's smart, so I think he would like this book. And Kevin also like realistic story, so he could enjoy this story. Second, I think Joseph wouldn't like this book because Joseph likes fictional story but doesn't like realistic story because he says that it's boring. Done.
The title is The Charlotte, and the author is Phyllis Leynon Naylor. The book genre of this book is the kid novel because it's talking about animal and human. The setting of this time is America, West Virginia, small village, friendly, middle of 20th century. This book is about the main character Marty and the Sherlock met and they became friends, and Marty saved the Sherlock many times. My one memorable moment is when the Sherlock and Marty met because it touching my heart. Uh, my favorite character is Sherlock because he's animal. I like animal more than human in the book. With I think the Kevin will like this book because he like kid novel.
Hello, my name is Kevin, and today I'm gonna talk about a book called Shiloh, and which is written by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. The genre of this book is a children's novel because the story of this book is a bit childish, and the setting of this book is on the events happen on the hills on West Virginia in the 20th century. Okay. The story starts when a beagle called Shiloh runs away from his owner, Jude, and comes to Marty, who takes care of him. And he keeps Shiloh in the pen and takes care of him, and without his parents knowing about it. And later in the book, his parents discover that she was keeping Shiloh in secret, and Jude also finds out, so he makes a deal with Jude to work 20 hours so that he can get Shiloh in. And one of my memorable events on this book that I want to remember is when Marty met Shiloh, because that's like a start line of the book, and it is also very significant on the book's story. And my favorite character is Marty because he knows how to care about others, and he takes care of Shiloh better than Jude, and he takes risks to save Shiloh, which I think is great. And I think Sarah would like this book because she likes reading books, and I think Jungyu wouldn't like this book because he doesn't like reading.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to talk about a book I read called Mariel of Redwall. Mariel of Redwall is a fantasy novel by Brian Jacques published in 1991. It is the fourth book published and sixth chronologically in the Redwall series. Mariel of Redwall is a fantasy novel, specifically a work of children's fantasy fiction. It falls within a broader genre of children's literature and is categorized as middle grade fantasy and adventure. The main settings for Mariel of Redwall are Redwall Abbey in Mossflower Woods and the sea surrounding it, leading to the villainous Sarat, Gubble the Wild Forestress, Terraman Isle. The story begins on a sea coast and involves a sea voyage and a quest across the land to the Abbey, where the protagonist Mariel eventually plans a journey to Gubble's Island to seek revenge. My favorite character in this book is Mariel. Mariel is a very courageous mouse. She also fought with Gubble, symbolizing her bravery. Mariel is also caring and kind. She is also funny and likes a joke even in the toughest times. She brings spirits up and also cares a lot for her co-team. My favorite quote in this book is when a rat says, "You'll never take me alive," and Mariel says, "I don't want you alive." Mariel says this to a rat when she fights with them. This takes place when they're fighting in the Isle of Gaboo. This quote is really funny and shows how Mariel even says jokes when she's fighting and is very calm. And the most memorable event in Redwall is when the antagonist Gaboo throws her and her father into the sea. This leads her to her amnesia and she vows for revenge. This also
is a very important event for Red Wall because they bring the old bell back into the place. Also, I didn't and also she didn't actually come for revenge. She actually came for justice for all animals in the Isle of Gabon. I would rate this book a 9 out of 10. It was a really good book and had a good moral, but I felt it was a bit lengthy. I felt it had very unwanted details. Also, it had a very good moral, and it symbolizes that good will prevail the evil. And I recommend this book to Lisa and Shirley because they like fantasy books. And also, I wouldn't recommend this book to Jungyu because I think he likes non narrative fiction more. Thank you.
Hello. My book name is Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. He wrote many books such as Island of the Blue Dolphins and etc. The genre of the book is a realistic fiction. It is based on real story, but it has some fiction on it. And it's also related to adventure stories. Good. The setting of the book is 1835, Island of the San Nicolas. The main characters, Karana and Ramo, live in this island with their tribes. This is the summary of the book. There's a Karana, Ramo, which is two main characters, and another tribes living on the island. But one day, some Russian hunters comes to the island and hunts for sea otters. But of course, the tribes didn't want that, so they fight. But of course, the tribe lose. So many tribes have died, and also tribe was sent to other islands. But for an accident, Ramo was left to the island alone when the tribe was going out for a ship. So Karana jumps off the ship and live with her little brother Ramo. Okay? Yeah. Then Ramo dies because of the wild dogs. Ramo dies because of the wild dogs. So Karana is left alone in the island. Karana actually don't really know how to survive alone. She didn't know how to make weapons or cook food, so it was hard to survive alone at first. But after time passes on, she learns new survival skills, and also she makes new friend, dog named Rontu. And they live happily together, and the ending, I will not say yet. It's such a good book, so everyone will enjoy it, and no one will not enjoy it because it's a great book. Thank you.
Everyone, hi. Today I want to share a book named Adventure of Huckleberry Finn, written by Mark Twain. His real name is Samuel Langford Clemens. He wrote lots of great novels. Today I'll share you the book. Okay? The genre is called picaresque, which means episodic novel. Adventure novel. That's what it's called. Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Haha. Haha. The setting is during 1830s and 1840s along the Mississippi River. So that's the longest river in the United States. So yeah, it's a long novel. Long river, long novel. Now let's move on to a summary. So there's a guy named Huckleberry Finn living in St. Petersburg. He was living separately with his abusive dad. who gets drunk every day. He gets drunk, hits every day. So that's why he lives separately from him. His dad, Pop Finn, tried to take over $6,000 from Huck, the main character. Huckleberry sells $6,000 to Judge Thatcher, just $1. Not $1. Not even $1,000. Not even $100. $1.
Okay.
$6,000 for $1. But sadly, Huckleberry gets kidnapped by his dad in the cabin. So he have to cook food. He have to kill animals, and he have to get beaten up every day. And his dad even said, "You better cook for me," like even with a gun. How can you call that as a dad? This shows how this shows why Huckleberry tried to escape from his dad. So he makes a plan. Let's escape. So he fakes his own death by like putting like a really big wood on the lake. And then he escapes with this boat. And when he left, he stole all of his dad's stuff, like bacons, mashed potatoes, I think, and like other stuff. He even sells his own dad's gun. And it wasn't even his dad's gun, because his dad stole that gun from someone else. So during the adventure, Huckleberry meets black slave called Jim in Jackson's Island. Jim was a runaway slave from Miss Watson, who was trying to civilize Huck. Huck, he wasn't really educated because his dad always beat him up.
How?
For example, he gets drunk and he's like, bam, bam, bam. So Huck was like, he was grown in like not good, healthy family. Both of them are running away from something. Jim from Miss Watson to be a free person. And Huckleberry Finn from his dad, from his abusive dad, Pop Finn. During the adventure, both of them, they encountered lots of men along the Mississippi River to find a runaway slave. But luckily, Huck tricks him. Hey, he's not a slave. Guess what? Huck saved him. He saved him. What a nice story. And when they're like rafting through the Mississippi River, they met King and Duke. They're not King and Duke, they're scammers. Pirate scammers. They scam like through other things like, hey, I'm king, give me some money. I'm a duke, give me some money. So he was like trying to scam Jim and Huck. But they don't get to, because both of them, they're smart, like me.
What?
No. But in the end, King and Duke gets punished. Like for lots of people, they got humiliated. Don't be a scammer like them. This shows a lesson not to be a scammer. Don't be trying to scam other people. It's bad. But in the end, I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing. But
You're spoiling.
no, Jim gets prisoned. Runaway slave. He gets prisoned by Miss Watson again. What is that story? But
Slave.
Huck and his friend Tom Sawyer. If you know Tom Sawyer, Tom Sawyer is one of Mark Twain's novel. But both of them, two white friends, try to save that black friend. But during this like rescue, Tom Sawyer gets shot in the leg, but not fatally. So he's not dead. He can walk again. He's not dead.
Oh.
Check out what happened next. This is not end. I didn't spoil the whole thing. I told you, long Mississippi River's long, and the story's long. It's only about like half of the story. Check out Mark Twain's novel, Huckleberry Finn. And I think Jason will like it because he's like Huckleberry Finn. Rough, but kind-hearted. And I think he will like the adventure story.
He's dead.
And I think Yu-Chen will at least enjoy this book. Because I don't think he'll like adventure because he's an introvert. I think he will just like a story about cozy stuff, adventure stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yejin. Today I'm going to present a book called Lord of the Flies. Author's name is William Golding. The genre of this book is realistic fiction. The setting is island and community. Now I'm going to talk about summary. There was airplane accident, so airplane fell down on the ground, so there was survivor. The name is Lark and Piggy. They found the cup to make a pig, and they make sound to gather survival, another survivor. Lark became group of the leader, and Jack is group of the hunter leader. And Jack and other hunter had to look vehicle to find the ship, but they are lazy, so they want to play with water and they like to hunt, so they missed the ship. Because of that, Lark and Piggy was really angry about that, so they complained about to Jack. Because of the complaint, Lark and Jack had conflict. And one day, the group believed that there was monster in the island. So they had meeting, group meeting, but Knife said there was no monster in the island. But they keep believing that the monster. One day there was five airplane war fight in the sky. So one pilot was dead, so that body fell into that island, and they misunderstand the body was this monster. So because of that, Lark and Jack had really bad conflict, so Jack made another group, and that group believed monster, and Simon realized that there is no monster, but when Simon got to tell that there is no monster, they killed Simon because they misunderstand Simon is just an animal. I want to recommend this book to Devon because I think this story is very interesting and many good story and many lessons. So I think everyone would like this book, and I think students is to enjoy this book because there is many fight and cool things. So I think all of this enjoy this book. Thank you for listening.
My name is Yu-chan. I will introduce about the little woman, and the author is Louisa May. The genre is book is coming of age. The setting of book is fancy Irania, German town in 1868, 69. The memorable moments are ones where the main character overcome many hardship, and this story is a story of the main character's growth. I think David enjoyed this book because I think David loved coming of age story. I think Joshua least enjoy this book. Thank you.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Hippolyte Lee. First, let me tell you about the author. Hippolyte was an American writer. She was born in 1926 in Alabama. She wrote only one famous book in her life, To Kill a Mockingbird, published in 1960. This book won a big award called the Pulitzer Prize. It became very famous all over the world. Hopefully wanted to show people how unfair racism and prejudice can be. Now let me tell you about the story. The story takes place in a small town in Alabama during the 1930s. The main character is a young girl named Scott Finch. She lived with her brother Jim and her father Atticus Finch. Atticus is a lawyer and he was very kind and welcoming. He teaches Scott and Jim to be honest and fair to everyone. One day, Atticus has to defend a blind man named Tom Robbins. Tom was accused of hurting a white woman, but he was innocent. Even though there is no proof, many people in the town hate Tom because he is black. Atticus fight for justice, but the jury still says Tom is guilty. They show how strong racism was at the time. Through this story, Paul learned about kindness, justice, and understanding others. Now I will share the most memorable scenes for me. The scenes I remember most is when Atticus stands in front of the jail to protect someone. The group got angry when came to hurt Tom, but Atticus stayed calm and brave. They later go talk to one of the men and remind him that he is a father too. The man felt ashamed and go home. This scene shows the power of innocence and kindness. Even a small child can change people's hearts. Finally, my favorite quote from the book is, "You never really understand a person until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." This means we should not judge others before we understand their feeling and life. I like this sentence because it teaches empathy to imagine what others feel. It reminds me to be kind and not judge too quickly. In conclusion, The Care of Mockingbird is a story about courage, justice, and understanding others. It shows that even in a world full of unfairness, some people kindness.
The book I will present today is Inside Out and Back Again. And this book is written by Sana Lai, and this book is based on the Ursa's actions in the past. And it's written in poetic ways, so and the story of this book starts at Vietnam, at Saigon. It's right after the Vietnam War, and 10-year-old girl named Ha and her mother and three brothers was living in Saigon, but dad was lost 9 years ago at the war. And right before the South Vietnam is collapsed, they run with the boat. At the sea, they refused to the America, and it was hard, and they got many difficulties, but they arrived at America finally for the rescue. And at the Alabama, at America, where they refuged from the Vietnam, she had a hard time learning English and about the racism. She had a hard time, but she realized that after time, she is actually now kind and close with America culture, and she became true American, which shows Inside Out and Back Again, the title of the book. And the themes of the book is identity and belonging, which the main character showed in the book, and also the war and the loss, which her dad has identified, and immigration and cultural adjustments that her family and she got in difficulties in America, and hopes and adaptation, which she had a hard time, but she also adapted to American culture. And point I like about this book is that it's written in poem, so it was hard to read, but it gave me fun while reading the poem, and it shows the true meanings more easily, and I was very touched by the stories and poems in this book.
Today I'm going to talk about the book Inside Out and Back Again by Tan Halai. This story really moved me because it talks about war, family, and identity and hope through the eyes of young girl. I wanted to share a short summary, the scene that I remember the most, my favorite character, and a line that stuck with me, and like my personal rating of my book. This book is about a young girl, and the story is based on what she learned and what she felt during her life, and The main character's name is Ha, and she's Vietnamese. Like, the book follows a 10-year-old girl named Ha. She lived in Saigon during the Vietnamese War. When the war gets worse, her family escaped on a crowded boat and moves to the United States. But starting a new life was not easy for a little girl. How was to learn a new language, face very hard relationships, and deal with cultural differences. Through all of this, she slowly grows from a scared little girl into something strong and brave. The scene that I remember the most is when Ha leaves Vietnam on the boat. Like, the scene that I remember the most had very strong emotional lines that Ha said. Ha expressed her emotions, and everyone was silent at the moment. She looks at the dark water and realizes that her whole life was changing. No one knows would happen next. There was quite a huge, there was a quite, yes. I could feel her fear, sadness, and also a little bit of hope in that moment. That's why I stayed in my mind so clearly. My favorite character is Ha herself. At first, she was just a little girl who wants her normal life back. She gets angry, frustrated, and feels lost. But she doesn't give up. She learns English and slowly builds a new life. She wasn't a perfect girl, but she knows what she's in her. Her strengths of honesty are what I admire the most. The line I remember the most from this book is no one would believe me, but at times I would choose wartime instead of would over peaceful time in Alabama. This line was really hit me. Even though Ha was finally safe in America, she missed her home so much that she would choose war over safety. It shows important belongings and familiarity are. And a new place can feel so lonely that even danger could feel like home. The themes I felt of this book were resilience, identity, and empathy, and hope. Ha goes through so much pain, but she keeps going. Her story reminded me that starting over is never easy, but it can make you stronger. It also made me think about people who move to new countries and how hard their journey might be. If I have to give this book a score, I would give 8 out of 10. I love how it's written in 3 verses. Like, I've never saw a book like this written in poem collections, so it was kind of fun to read it. And the short poetic lines made Ha's feeling feel even more real and personal. I would recommend this book to anyone who wants to understand courage, change, and find where you belong. In the end, Inside Out and Back Again is not just a refugee story. It's a story about growing up, facing changes, and finding strength inside yourself. Past journey from Inside Out to Back Again will stay with me for a long time. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Naya. Today I'm going to talk about the book The Heart of Being a Wallflower. The author is Josie Stevens. This book is 230 when Bernard's four teammates are fight with Patrick with cafeteria. Harry protects Patrick after Bernard's four teammates attacking him. I think it's important because Harry will fight and avoid the war. But Harry is not a hard and just observing person. He took action to define when I think the event did not relate to money. My favorite character is Charlie because he is the main character of the book, and I think he has literally talent, and my friend is he learns to talk. He is like the thing always and always keeps secret. Then the book have been read by other people, and all the songs you love have been heard by other people, and you know that if you look at these facts when you were happy, you would feel great because it's describing night. Charlie recognizes that the feeling of night of other humans is an essential element of happiness in this one. I want to get 5 scale of this book. I think this story is very weird, and when I read this book, Marcel stopped. I won't recommend to Victor because he might like this book.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Victor. So the title of the book is Inside Out and Back Again, and the author of the book is down by whatever. And the theme of the book is war and its consequences. I thought about the story, like showing about the Vietnam War, like how shattering lives, like forces her family to flee from their home, and kind of feeling isolated, which revealed like the fear of loss and like trauma by the conflict that she had, and the resilience and hope, like even though like hardship, however, remained like strong and determined about her courage and adaptability, highlights about her human ability to survive and grow with pain and change and family and love, about a close bond with their mother and brother, and which made her really have a nice bond with them and emotional strength. Family had, and the setting of the book is, I thought it was like in short Vietnam in the 1975, where like the war like kind of ends, and it's like a place of comfort or like family and community routines, but also kind of like gears for the Vietnam War because it kind of reaches like the climax. And it also, I thought, like kind of represents about her old life and her like identity, about like everything changes and she's like recognizing all of it. And to give a summary of the book, I was into like 2 and 3 sentences. Ha is a 10-year-old girl who was a business agent and loved her family, her home, and like, but suddenly the Vietnam War ended. No, like when the Vietnam War ended, the family falls to the communists. Her family is forced to flee on a crowded boat. So after a dangerous journey, They were relocated to Alabama, where House struggles to learn English. But eventually, she fits in, and over time, she begins to adjust her new life while holding on her Vietnamese-like identity, her own self. I think the classmate who would most enjoy the book is Noah.
Hi, my name is Colin. Today I want to be talking about Macbeth by Shakespeare. This is one of the best plays slash books that I've read probably in this year only. And it's because the story is just so well integrated. I'm not sure how Shakespeare came up with this, like even before the modern day when Nietzsche's philosophy became so much more prevalent, because this
Mic
is
test.
the innate description of that. I can proudly say that this book eerily depicts how Macbeth, a general who has its own morals and fixations, turns into a person of psychotic horror. He transforms every
forget it.
other
I'm just gonna use
page.
the onboard
He
mic.
becomes a completely different
Oh,
person by
later.
page 52, and by the end of the book, he ends up
Just to be
being
clear, I did it yesterday and it
this
worked. I don't know why
person
it's
who
not working.
always justifies murder for his own plans and for his own niches. So I just mainly want to talk about the plot of the book. It's a simple reason. Macbeth was a good general. He won a lot of wars. But then Lady Macbeth, who is hungry for power, tells Macbeth to kill Banquo and to kill the king, so that they can have the throne. After the king's and Banquo's assassination, Macbeth has hallucinations of people and also knives, specifically those that he used for his murder, and he has almost vivid memories of blood in his hands, and so does
Ready, Dana?
Lady Macbeth. It really does characterize
5 minutes. See
the
the clock right there. Okay?
choices that people have to go through after murder
5 minutes,
and
Dana.
why we should never
Alright.
do it. And at the
Everybody
end of the
give
book,
Dana your
we do
attention,
see the
please.
climax of the story where the resolution ends with Macbeth's death and subsequently the end of his empire. Now, I also want to talk about the portrayal of knives and also the portrayal of the witches. Now, this was somewhere around when the witch trials was a little bit more prevalent. They were talking about magic, and science was not developed at the time, so people would mostly blame either witches or bad women or bad luck or bad spirits as their miss of luck. And to talk about this, we do need historical context, but I will not get into that because it's very convoluted. But suffice to say, the three witches specifically that gave Macbeth his oath and his foreshadowing, talked about how he becomes the Thane of Cawdor and subsequently everything else. And later on in the book, he does become that, but the witches probably set him up in a curse because they only talked about the good sides, only his rule, and not the guilt or the psychotic things that happen to him after he murders and kills all of Macduff's family. And also, knives are pretty prevalent because knives are used tool of murder, and it specifically portrays how Banquo was killed assassinated by the pawns of Macbeth. And even though Macbeth didn't kill him himself, he still has vivid memories of him, and his footprints always remain with Banquo, and it will probably stay with him the entire life. So yeah. No, to conclude, Macbeth is just a really good story about guilt, murder, and manipulation, and how a person turns from a regular person to a psychotic maniac. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Alvin Kang and G10, and I read book is the Odyssey. Its author is Homer, and this book genre is the poem and epic poem like the epic hero story. Cut. And I explain about the summary. And in the firstly, this book based story is about the Greek Roman mystical and start okay and start the summary and before the wait, after the 10-year for Troy War, Odysseus is the Odysseus is the out. People know that Odysseus are died, and Odysseus' castle is empty, and many high people is wants to get a prince in the king in Odysseus castle, but his son is wants to the save father, and his wife and his son know about the he's not die, and where living the anything island, and they are going to the they are going to the save the father. And in that time the Odysseus is the live in the Orgia Island, and one spirit
Not so bad.
spirit
think y'all did a pretty good
is
job with that.
very in love for
So,
Odysseus, and
Gibbon, Alex, Dana, just because you guys went today does not mean you're free next time. It's a new pool every single time.
And broke
I'm going to make, like I said, Doyoung do theirs on Monday.
Odysseus can't get out
Today, so.
the origin island because for the spirit. And Zeus,
No, I got a message from Justin saying.
So Zeus is
They had to go to the doctor or something, I don't know.
Help the
It
Odysseus
was non-descriptive.
for call the Hermes, for the one hero and used this hero, and Zeus is give the boat, and Odysseus.
No, I'm gonna finish chapter 7.
Odysseus and the hero is ride the boat, but Poseidon is Poseidon is angry for Odysseus because Odysseus before the story Odysseus has killed
Alright guys, I'll be back in a little bit for government.
And Poseidon's angry, and Poseidon's reflect
Just leave the phones in here today, it's fine.
Exit to this island. That's my summary, and I read only this part. And my favorite character is Odysseus too, because he has very leadership and has many good things, and he's the king of the one country, I think, and he has good leadership, and that is why I write this character. Thank you for listening.
I'm Lindsay, and the book I read this week was Animal Farm, and it's a novel by George Orwell, and it was published in 1945, and it's an allegory, which means that it has hidden meanings, especially like political and moral meanings. And Animal Farm is an allegory because it uses the lives of farm animals to represent the lives of humans in everyday lives. And it was written to criticize the Russian Revolution, and especially Stalin's Soviet Union. And for a little summary, there's a farm called Manor Farm where animals are being mistreated. So the animals rebel and take over the farm. It's very complicated. And also the animals had like their owner who was a human, so they like overthrew the human owner. And so they renamed the farm Animal Farm, and they make 7 commandments, where, and one of them is that all animals are equal. So at first the farm seems like a success, but then the pigs get hungry for power, so they slowly start changing the rules to favor the pigs. So then by the end of the book, the pigs have like completely taken over, and they have replaced the original commandment, which was all animals should be equal, to like all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So in the end, the revolution failed. History repeated itself, and so the ending is kind of a bittersweet ending. And so as we can see, the farm represents a society or a country. The pigs represent corrupt leaders, and the animals represent like the ordinary people. And 2 quotes that stood out to me is that the absolute power corrupts absolutely. So like in the beginning, the pigs, they had the intention of being equal as well, but then they realized that they enjoyed having power, so they wanted more power, and that's how everything came to be. And another quote is that some animals are more equal than others. So we all know that everyone should be treated equally, but this book told us that in reality, leaders often end up taking advantage of their power and they gain like more control and equality than other people. So in conclusion, Animal Farm is not just a book about a farm, it's much deeper than that. And 3 things that to like remember from this book is that justice is not always solved, and power can corrupt anyone, and that ordinary people are easily manipulated. So the main message is that people should be questioning authority. Yeah.
So okay guys, so I'm going to talk about The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So before we read the book, what do we have to know? Yeah, exposition. So this book was written in 1953, and at that time, so something happened in 1953. Terrified Arthur Miller and made him to write a story to send a warning. So to talk about the explosion. So after the World War II ended, there was some a Cold War beginning. So the entire U.S. society became oversensitive about the spread of communism. So they didn't want communists dominate USA like it did in China. So it's when politicians use this fear within their society to gain a strength, and it became deadly serious. So at the time, there was a politician named Joseph McCarthy, and he made McCarthyism. Yeah, McCarthyism. Yeah, McCarthyism. So what is McCarthyism? What is McCarthyism? What is McCarthyism? Yeah. So it is similar to witch hunting. So it is like fingering at your political opponents as communists if they were to disagree with you. So many people had to live in a fear, and if someone fingered at you, then that person is killed in socially. So McCarthyism is kind of like a socially murdering individual. So you won't lose anything physically, so one cannot prove their damage. So, for example, you don't go to jail or lose any money, but you have to hide yourself and your family from the society. And even if you prove you're innocent later, the accuser will not be punished. So even though many people didn't consider McCarthyism seriously in the beginning, so Arthur Miller believed it as something equal to murdering someone physically. So let's get into the story. So this is just about the witchcraft. Yeah, that's it. That is the summary. And so in this book, there was many evil thing going on. So we have to know. We have to question something. Is it nature or nurture? Is it nature or nurture? What is nature? What is nature? What is nature? Yeah, born. Nature. Born.
Something innate.
born.
Yeah.
Like 선천적. Yeah. Yeah. What is nurture? What is nurture? Nurture is influenced by surroundings, by one's surroundings. 후천적. So, what do you think? Is it nature or nurture? Are they evil by their nature or nurture?
Nurture.
Yeah. I think it's nurture because, like, if you think about the Paris, Reverend Paris, what's his personality? Like, he's not caring about her daughter or her children, so that made them two, made witchcraft and also and all of that kind of thing, and that little nurture thing combined and made this hysteria. Okay, the time is running out, so I want to recommend this book to Steve because it is really easy to relate this book to his life. So, especially in school life. So I want to recommend this book to Steve.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, I'm gonna donate this marker.
So, if I want to talk about today, I'm going to be talking about The Crucible by Arthur Miller. And then, if I have to list one memorable event that advanced the plot in the book, I would say that it was the plot when John Proctor confessed to committing adultery with Abigail Williams in an attempt to expose her lies. Because this moment was important because it also revealed the personal conflicts behind the Salem witch trials and showed how hysteria could destroy innocent lives. It also marked a turning point for Proctor's character as he chose honesty over reputation. This reminds me of times when I had to admit a mistake even though it was difficult because telling the truth was the right thing to do. My favorite character in this book was John Proctor, and he was similar, if I wanted to describe how it was like similar to someone in my life. You know what, I'll just say it after I say this. My favorite character was John Proctor because he was brave and stands up for the truth by saying that he committed adultery, and it also cost him his life, but he still chose to say it. He refuses to sign a false confession, and it showed integrity and strength. And someone in my life who reminds me of him is like my parents, because they also value honesty, and they also say doing what's right, do what's right even when it's not easy. And a line from the book that I wanted to remember was when John Proctor says, "Because it is my name, because I cannot have another in my life." And the context surrounding the line is he refuses to falsely confess to witchcraft, and it's powerful because it shows how much John Proctor values his integrity and personal honor, and it reminds me that a person's name and reputation reflect their choices, and it is important to stay true to yourself. And if I wanted to rate this book on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate The Crucible an 8 out of 10 because it is a powerful story about fear, integrity, and moral courage. The themes are still relevant today, especially about how people can be unfairly judged or pressured by society. And I would recommend it to a friend who likes historical dramas or stories about standing up for what's right. And if I talk about my favorite character, if I just talk about 잠깐만 몇 분 정도 있었어? 3분이야? Okay. I'll talk for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes now.
Oh, okay. If I talk about more about my character, yeah, okay. If I talk about more about the character, it's John Proctor because he's brave and stands up for what's right, even though it costs him his life. And the connection is there's people who value honesty and doing the right thing even when it's difficult. And if I say more about this, I would also say, if I talk about more about the book's background, The Crucible is a play written in 1953 by an American playwright Arthur Miller, and it is set during the Salem witch trials of 1692 in Colonel, Massachusetts. And this play was inspired by the McCarthy era in 1950s when people were accused of being communists without proper evidence. We learned about the McCarthy era, people were accused and put in blacklist, and I think that this historical mode was very similar to the Salem witch trials. And if I talk about the summary of the story, the people of Salem fall into panic when rumors of witchcraft spread, and Abigail Williams and other girls accuse townspeople to avoid punishment and gain power. Innocent people are jailed or executed based on lies, and John Proctor, a respected farmer, tries to expose the truth but becomes caught in the hysteria himself. And the themes in The Crucible is hysteria. Hysteria is one of the biggest themes in the book. It said hysteria is talks about how fear spreads faster than the truth, and the reputation is how people care more about how they're seen than who they truly are, and integrity for standing up for what's right matters, even if it costs anything. Authority and power. Leaders use fear to control others, and courage. But real bravery means choosing the truth over safety. The author's message was Arthur Miller wrote this play to warn against mass hysteria and blind accusations, and the Salem witch trials mirrored the Red Scare and McCarthyism in 1950s. The message of the whole story was fear and ignorance can destroy communities, but truth can free them. Thank you.
In this way, I read The Crucible, written by Arthur Miller. The genre of this book is about the mass hysteria, and this book was written during 1950s, and that time. And to explain the explanation of this book, the 1950s was there was a lot of mass hysteria of the fear of the communism, and so Arthur Miller wrote this book to warn about this mass hysteria that is prevalent, that is spreading at that time. So basically, the playwright Arthur Miller was one of whom got accused as communist and called for the community called and he witnessed and experienced this accusation, and so this led Arthur Miller to write the play The Crucible to present his concern about curses and the red scare using witch hunt happened in like, the 17th century Salem. So basically, the setting of the book is in town of the whole Salem in the Massachusetts. So, and it's about the 17th century and the witch hunt. So, the summary of the book is the story starts with the Reverend Paris who is praying in his room since his daughter Betty was not in conscious. So, and the book reveals that the Betty's sickness is due to the kind of due to the dancing, the dance that this kind of girls like did during the midnight. Yeah. So basically, and then like it reveals that like there's kind of like and reveals that like Abigail was kind of led this dancing to kill the Elizabeth Proctor, who is the wife of John Proctor, and Abigail tried to kill this woman since Abigail kind of cheated with John Proctor. Yeah. And then the story reveals that Abigail like kind of performed the dance in the midnight, and they also so they drank the chicken blood in order to kill Elizabeth Proctor, to take over this place, her place. Then the people and the Salem was kind of like thought that this kind of instance was happening due to the witchcraft. So, and Paris didn't want to kind of harm his reputation. So he made Abigail, not really made, but he kind of induced Abigail to kind of confess falsely. Basically, that's the end of the summary of Week 1. And I'll go on to the next part. I want to recommend this book to Taegyun, since he didn't read this book.
I read.
What was your score, Taegyun?
That's say.
Wow, he didn't read this book. I think Taegyun will at least enjoy this book. Yeah, thank you.
What up, y'all? My name is William. So I'm gonna present about a book called The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So the genre of this book is history. It's like a tragedy and history and stuff. It's based on a true event that took place in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. So basically the summary of this book is it starts by Reverend Paris sitting on a bedside of his daughter who couldn't like wake up for a couple of days, and it turns out that she was dancing in the forest. But then as we go on throughout the book, we get to learn that she wasn't only dancing with her friends but performing some kind of witchcraft to like perform witchcraft on some person. So basically word goes out, another reverend from another town comes, and then Abigail, niece of Reverend Paris, and also the daughter of Reverend Paris, Betty, has to tell the truth that they were actually dancing, but then they kind of mix it up and say that they were actually doing witchcraft, but they were actually controlled by other people, and they start naming innocent people to just get out of their own trouble, and then that kind of turns into like a snowball like event and just like gets bigger and bigger. And later, alright, so later in the book, Betty, Abigail, and some of her friends become like this real powerful figures in the town, and anybody that they name as performing witchcraft and they're guilty of it, they get pulled to the court and they have to testify, and if they don't blame someone else for using witchcraft on them, they get hanged. So they have to lie and blame someone else in order to get out of jail and like getting hanged. So but then John Proctor, who was actually in an intimate relationship with Abigail, in order to save his wife Elizabeth from getting hanged, he goes to the court with some of his friends to testify that Abigail and her friends were actually lying. It says, do not spoil the endings of yours, but somehow like last year everybody was spoiling. I was like, bro, it says do not spoil the ending. Read, bro. It says do not. So now next, which of your classmates would most enjoy this book? None, because they don't like reading. Which of your classmates would least enjoy this book? Let's see. Ben? Alright, Ben. You got chosen, but you would least enjoy this book because the Crucible can be quite boring and tedious for some people, especially due to chapter 1, like Act 1 and Act 2, because Act 1 and Act 2 contains very descriptive like paragraphs about the environment that it takes in and stuff like that, so, and the settings. But Act 3 and 4, there are many dialogues, and the book, like the plot advances really quickly, and there are many exciting events. So I think Act 3 and 4, it is quite enjoyable. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, done.
Hello everyone, my name is Steve. This week I read the book called The Crucible, and the author of The Crucible is Arthur Miller. And then the book was written in 1953, and it was inspired by the Salem witch trial in 1692. And then also the reason why he wrote this book was because to want to show McCarthyism, or like communism, like US afraid just communism, nothing like that. So, the genre of the book would be historical drama or tragedy. That's because there were like a lot of innocent people just got jailed or accused by several women. So I think that would be the genre of the book. The setting of the book would be in 1692 Salem. The place where Salem is located is in Massachusetts. The Salem itself was a place where a strict Puritan community had filled with fear of sin and the devil. And that's the setting of the book. Now, I will talk about the summary of the Crucible. In Act 1, the Reverend Paris house. It starts from Paris praying beside of her daughter's bed. That's because Betty was caught dancing in the forest, and after the Paris saw the situation, like his daughter was just sick all over day, and then the Abigail Williams, which is Paris niece, kind of denies or all explain about the things about what happened at the time. And then as soon as Abigail went out, Reverend Hale came to Salem to kind of solve the problem in the Salem. Then okay, that's how Act 1 ends. In Act 2, it starts by John Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor's home. The Elizabeth was kinda, doubting or being feeling suspicious of John because John had cheated with Abigail in last act in Act 1. So that's how they got, they lose their faith. And then as stories continue, due to the witchcraft, innocent women like Rebecca Nurse are arrested. Also, John Proctor's servant Mary Warren gained her power of voice in the court. She can kind of accuse this random guy or random woman in the Salem. That's how it begins, and that's when John Proctor kind of feel or think how this thing is really serious. And then Act 3, it starts from the court of the Salem. In the court, the male characters such Proctor, Kyle, Corey, or Francis North kinda came into the court and kinda tried to defend their wife who were accused by Mary or some other girls in the Salem. And that's how Act 3 ends. So now I would like to recommend this book. So I think everyone in KCIS should read The Crucible. I think it's the perfect book in KCIS. That's because the Crucible contains the witchcraft or accusing the innocent random people, and how the fear can lead to the mistakes which can ruin someone's life. So that's the reason why everyone in KCI should read The Crucible one time in their life. Yeah, that's it, and thank you. Yay.